Welcome to the party, partiers. Today we are going to be reacting to a video done by the Creative Thrive YouTube channel, which covers AI generated art and why he does not think, as a visual artist himself, that it qualifies under the label. I think he brings up a lot of great points, but I do heavily disagree with him and want to offer a note of optimism in terms of what AI can do for artists in the artistic community. Let's see what he has to say.
We are going to deep analyze why I still believe that art produced by AI is not art. I'm going to defend my claim with solid arguments. I'm going to go through examples of last year when it comes to generative AI in the creative sector, especially video or image generation, and you will see that none of these examples meet the conditions to be considered art, and that the hype of creative AI is dissipating. The bubble is breaking, and actually there is a growing sector in the creative field that refuses this type of content. And at the end of
I think he starts off at a major disadvantage here, especially as we've seen in the art world over the past 100 years. Things like urinals being classified as art, bananas taped to walls being classified as art. The truth of the matter is, art is subjective. Whether you think something is art or not does not automatically make it art. And I would argue on the flip side, if one person thinks something is art, then it is art. My definition of art is anything which transcribes meaning to the human experience. Anything that you encounter which is meaningful to you is art. He's not going to agree with that definition. He's going to lay out some very specific criteria, which as a professional artist himself, he is more than welcome to do so. But with how low a bar that sets, I think he should be asking himself, are we really in a position to disclassify all of the images, all of the videos, all of the experiences that AI will eventually be creating for us as something that is meaningful?
this video, and I'm also going to give you some predictions of what I think is going to happen with AI art, and also tips to survive AI as a creator. And I hope all these can help you thrive in your creative journey, because at the end of the day, that's what I want. Let's deep dive into it, because this is going to be interesting. I have seen a lot of traction when it comes to prompt-to-video AI generation during the last year. It was impressive to see the first time it appeared, and frankly, it's still impressive. But what it wasn't said initially is that these prompts to videos demos went through many iterations until they got a result that was right. So the demos are obviously selected, curated, and some of them are even edited in post-production. On top of that, it was known that these models require a considerable amount of computing power. So the main problem was, and still is, that as impressive as the demos look, it's very hard to get the result that you want. And the problem is the lack of atomic control of the process. And control is a very, very important word in any creative endeavor. Creators and visionary filmmakers are going to demand hundreds of changes, and with reason, because they want to convey their vision. And sometimes that vision needs to be refined through the creative process. And
This is basically the argument saying that this isn't art because these images don't match up to what a dedicated human artist can do yet. But that's just a matter of time. I'm so sorry to say it, but the truth is, right now, whenever you're watching this, is the worst these AI art models will ever be. They will continuously get better and better and better. And eventually, we might have the capability to directly transcribe our thoughts into creative processes for the AI. They're already working on ways to decode brain activity into direct images. That's not technology that is coming in 5 or 10 years. That could be here within the next 1 or 2 years. And based on brain-computer interfaces like Neuralink, you might be able to directly transcribe your thoughts into entire movies, into entire virtual worlds. There is potentially no limit to the barriers that AI art can demolish for us. And if you want to talk about control, this is the process of technological development as it's always been. Technology like paints allowed us to get closer to high fidelity images than what the cavemen had access to with their charcoal drawings on their cave walls. Photography allowed us to capture more of the artistic vision than pure painting did. Video, color video, allowed us to get another step closer. If we are going to define art as control, then anything that does not directly match up to the artist's vision Anything that is outside of their control would not be art. But that's crazy to say. Many of the most artistic expressions that people love in movies and painting, photography, came about as accidents, as things that were serendipitously inspired. Control is not something that has to do with art outside of the ability to monetize that art. I think what we should be saying instead is, how can we get away from the need to monetize art? How can we get away from the need to handicap ourselves based on our resource capacity? How can we get closer to making art a pure instantiation of the artist's vision? That is what will truly bring to the fore the idea that art is meaning. Art is imagination.
They need to be in control of it to be able to tell the story they want efficiently. Actually, there is a remix feature in Sora, which is a way to refine the video with small prompt changes, but this is not enough. These models lack specialized knowledge, from understanding physics equations to having access to years of experience in the movie making and VFX realms. And that's something that post-production VFX houses can offer and prompt-to-video AI can't. VFX companies have several departments of specialized artists to be able to address notes from the filmmakers to the pixel, so they can satisfy their creative vision. A shot like this that was done by Sora AI with the puppies and the snow would take several months to achieve in proper traditional CGI techniques. But once set up, it will be relatively easy to update and address notes from any department: camera, animation, creatures, effects, lighting, or composition. Another thing that hasn't changed in the last year is that AI companies are still competing like crazy to get the attention and money of filmmakers, companies, and users. Millions have been spent in development, and all of them are scrapping internet, getting images and text and video and audio data that most of the times is copyright protected. Everything that you have posted to Instagram or Facebook is now part of it. It will appear in some way or form in some result somewhere in the world eventually, and there is nothing you can do about it. In June last year, the Microsoft CEO Mustafa Suleyman said that it is considered fair use to get everything that is on the internet, which is a very dangerous sentence. And look at Mira Murati's reaction in an interview soon after Sora was released, when she's asked about the sources of these videos.
What data was used to train Sora?
We used publicly available data and licensed data.
So videos on YouTube?
I'm actually not sure about that. I'm not sure. I'm not confident about it.
This looks very suspicious. The thing is, not every video or image publicly available is free to use. There are still copyrights from artists that post their work online. These companies have numerous copyright law actions on them, and they use every loophole around the concept of fair use that they can find. And they are feeding thousands of hours of image and video into these models. We just don't really know which sources they are using for this. And they probably know what they are doing is wrong, but they don't care. They are driven by greed and ambition. The end justifies the means.
I'm sorry, artists, but copyright is going away. Sam Altman, to back up his point here, recently said that we need to abolish copyright in order for AI to remain competitive in our race against China. And you know what? The harsh truth is, China isn't going to respect any of our copyright laws, just like they haven't respected our IP for the past 50, 100, however many years. The end of copyright is the trajectory we are on. If you are an artist, you should be planning for that. And I don't think you should let it dissuade you from putting your art into the world. Instead, just imagine what these capabilities as they come online for you can unlock. The goal for all of us should be moving to a post-capitalist, or at least post-scarcity future, where it doesn't matter if you're getting paid for your art, because the capabilities that AI unlocks for everyone make the idea of lack of housing or food or other basic necessities completely moot. All of those things should be provided for you by the incredibly powerful AI models that we are collectively creating. Because, as David, I believe, is completely correct in pointing out here, those models have been built on our data and would not be possible without our inputs. If these companies are going to scrape our data in ways that were against the law, then we should also benefit from them once they become capable enough to deliver those basic necessities for us. I almost entirely agree with him here that we need to be holding companies to account for how they have illegally utilized our resources to build these models, but it is never going to be productive to say that they need to stop training on this data. Instead, we need to figure out how we can either be reimbursed for the data equitably that they have already collected in ways that allow us to live comfortably enough to create whatever art we want, or we need to figure out a way to get rid of the idea of paying for goods and services completely. That's a much better way than trying to fight this impossible battle against the incorporation of our data into these AI models. That's just going to happen. I'm sorry.
And there is no shame, and this is unstoppable. So apart from video, we have, of course, still AI image creation that has been developed further and perfected during the last year. But when it comes to AI artistic creations, I also don't think we are getting anywhere. I feel we are oversaturated of these sort of images already.
I mean, come on. Do you remember the Will Smith eating a spaghetti video from, 2-3 years ago? Look at where AI prompt to video has already gotten in that same time. Look at the trajectory. Forget about where things are now. This is the worst it will ever be.
It was very new at first, but it's not surprising anymore. And it makes sense. First of all, AI images tend to be too perfect, too glossy. But that's not the main problem. The problem is that they are derived from known styles, because that's all AI art can do. Learn from styles created by actual humans, actual artists, and make some educated guess in that style, or combine different styles, averaging the result.
If it can combine different styles, then can it create something new through that combination? All great art is theft, right? A great artist himself said that. Good artists copy, great artists steal. The truth is, what AI is doing is what humans have done throughout our entire artistic history. We should stop looking at art as a creative process and start looking at art as an exploratory process. At the end of the day, any artistic creation is just an assemblage of pixels within a set frame. And it turns out that AI can help us explore entire universes of different arrangements of pixels, different arrangements of meaning. Now, David is completely right in saying that the basic images that AI is spitting out are relatively unspecial. And that can be a place that human artists fit in to this now infinite canvas of AI creations, is that they can help figure out where the meaningful nooks and crannies are. In this infinite amount of AI art that is now at our fingertips, where are the special pieces, the special photographs, the ones that truly catch on? AI artists with their developed sense of taste, artists in general with the work that they have put into refining their vision and their understanding of the artistic process, can use that specialization, that special knowledge that they have accumulated to more quickly get to those diamonds hidden amongst all the slop. That should be how we view art moving forward. Not a creative process where you have to spend thousands of hours refining manual skills, but an intellectual exercise where you are exploring an infinite amount of worlds and finding those worlds which resonate with your fellow humans the most strongly.
And if they end up feeding from their own AI creations, well, we will definitely end up having a very average, recognizable AI style everywhere. Don't get me...
I agree with that. I think the worst possible world we could get to is one where these AI companies start training their models solely off of AI outputs. We want to keep baking our humanity into them so that in the worst case scenario, they don't turn against us. We want these AI to be reliant or at least codependent on us as much as possible. But again, the truth is they're going to continuously improve. So unless we figure out a way to integrate them, to work with them, to incorporate them into our society and maybe even into ourselves, we will be left behind.
Wrong is quite impressive, still impressive to see, but we are not discussing that. We are discussing that this is not art, that AI needs actual art in order to create AI art. And we have come up with some
And it's already gotten it. They've already scraped all the art.
keywords already that will help us explaining this well. Control, process, and style. And I'm going to elaborate on those because this is really important to understand. First of all, for AI art to work, you need an input, data, and a goal. You literally set the prompt of what you want, and AI tries to get there based on limited data that you have no access to, an obscure algorithm that no...
We should have access to it. There should be open models. There should be models that we can self-train. And I'm hoping that as the costs are so dramatically decreasing, as the capabilities of these models are so dramatically increasing, these models are doubling in capability every 6 months. They're getting faster, more efficient, so you can run them on smaller and smaller devices. That trend will itself allow whole new artistic expressions. You'll be able to do VR or AR, augmented reality art installations, where you can transpose your artistic works over buildings and allow people to walk through entire cities, seeing only the visual images that you want to transpose onto that world. There are hugely, unbelievably vast amounts of new artistic experiences that this technology will unlock. And artists should be embracing that. Run, dive, full force into it, because we're not going back to the way things were.
One has access to only the companies that provide the model or the interface to the model. The so-called AI artist has no access to the process or the dataset. And this is limiting, and you need a prompt which is also limiting in a way. You need real artists. For example, process-oriented artists, which is vastly represented in modern art. Names like Jackson Pollock, Marina Abramovic, Eva Hesse. The process of these works are so important as the work itself. They don't have...
And human lives can continue to be an artistic expression in and of themselves. I would encourage artists to begin, he's going to cover it here, not only documenting their process, document your entire life. Another thing we're probably going to see in the near future is digital clones. Clones of yourself that represent your viewpoints and your interests at each and every point of society that you could possibly want. You're going to have a digital representation of you that is in charge of dealing with your finances, possibly dealing with acquaintances, people who you necessarily don't have time for in your day-to-day life, but still want to maintain contact with. And your clones will be dealing with their clones. Humans are no longer going to be individual representations of a single consciousness. We are going to be webs of interrelated AI and human expression working together to benefit ourselves in a best case scenario where we do have access to our own models and we don't have to worry about scarce resources.
Have a pretty...
Oh, sorry. But what I was going to say is document your life, document your point of view, your expression, your opinions, your taste. And once we do have access to that AI and that lack of material constraints, you'll be able to completely fill the world with representations as you want to see it.
Determined idea of how the work will look like at the end. That, not being limited by a goal, opens already the door to immense creative possibilities. But even if we compare AI art to goal-oriented real artists like most figurative artists, they still have a process, a technique, and process is intimately related to style. The process of creations of an artwork is basically a collection of steps, of decisions that are driven by a personality. Why to choose these shapes, these brushes, these colors at this moment? How strongly to apply this stroke? Where to apply it? There are hundreds or if not thousands of decisions involved in a painting or artwork, and each person would decide things differently and in different order. That's why even having two artists copying the same model with similar level of skills, still you could feel that they are done by different persons and have a different style. There is always a very personal filter happening whenever a human is involved. So you could say a consistent set of decisions over time that is similar in every work determines the style. And it's intimately linked to a personality, to a person that has developed this style with their personal decisions. Decisions come from emotions, culture, childhood, memories, values, wishes, instincts. AI feeds from real people. AI feeds from all these and from real styles because they cannot produce it on their own. They can imitate the style because...
Yet. They can't produce it on their own yet because they haven't ingested enough data. But why should we be afraid of the AI getting to that point? Again, stop worrying about the capabilities or the interactions that we might be losing, because I think that loss will only be temporary. We could potentially get to the point where AI allows us to create and control and inhabit our own worlds, entire ecosystems of agent-driven representations of people or completely virtual people based entirely on our whims. As an artist, imagine getting to chart out the development of entire societies, choosing societal and artistic trends and watching them evolve either with your direct oversight and control or completely spontaneously based on what the AI thinks is most realistic or least realistic, most fantastical. These are the capabilities that AI potentially unlocks, not just for every artist, but for every person. And imagine if you, as an artist, not only with AI enhanced tools, but with an AI enhanced lifespan. Imagine if you don't just have 20, 30 years to invest in your art, but 100, 200. AI lifespan extension is, again, potentially unlimited. We could be looking down the barrel of an infinite society, an infinite life, insofar as we want it. That is the potential abundance, the potential capability that AI is maybe unlocking for us. I'm an optimist, so I think that's the direction it's definitely going.
Because it can recognize this consistency, these patterns, a logic in the process, and it can guess, based on that set of rules, how things would look like. AI needs styles. AI needs human artists that have created styles to function. But it will never ever create a new style, because for that, it will need to have a personality, life experiences, memories, core values that would influence every single step of the way. And so far, they don't have that. Maybe.
So far, what is stopping us from developing that? Technical limitations, those will be overcome. If not by the AI researchers who are developing these tools, then by the AI themselves. Coding is already being taken over by artificial intelligence. And once artificial intelligence is a more capable coder than human coders, it will be able to improve itself. Then we are looking at that kind of infinite flywheel of progress that I think will unlock all of these otherwise sci-fi and unbelievable capabilities.
With AGI, but we don't even know if we can achieve that. So process makes this.
We're basically already at AGI, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to say that we all have access to it, but look at what these models are capable of. Unless you want to define AGI as machines that are more capable than the entirety of humanity combined, we're pretty much already there on a practical level. The artificial intelligences that we have access to now are pretty much smarter in every way that does not require physical embodiment than almost any person. Like, wake up, you know? It's there.
Style, and the style is made by a unique, consistent process in time. When AI creators talk about creating art, they are basically asking AI to make something for them. It's like hiring a person to do it for you, but you are not making any effort in forging a technique and unique process, develop a consistent style in becoming a real artist, even if it takes them 1,000.
Again, what is real art? He's not defining it outside of control, process, style. And there are millions of counterexamples that would fit into that definition. And there are millions of examples that he would probably classify as art, like the banana taped to a wall, like Maria Abramovich sitting screaming in a room by herself, that regular people wouldn't count as art. It's a subjective definition, which I think is a good thing because it's going to allow each and every person, each and every subjective experience to put out their own unbelievably detailed artworks in the future. If you are someone who has spent your life developing your sense of visual style, linguistic style, artistic style, then you will still have an advantage here. You will still be able to use that detailed and precise knowledge to get more out of the models faster. But don't be afraid that the playing field is being leveled, because AI is unlocking an infinite amount of room to play. We don't have to worry, potentially, if we can again get to a place where scarcity and basic needs are met for everyone through these AI models, then we don't have to worry about creative pressure, except for that which we create for ourselves. And the artists who have been in this work the longest will have the best sense of their process already. Dive into the tools, use what you've learned, watch them grow and develop, and you'll understand what capabilities they have and how to get the most out of them as they develop new capabilities. This could be a win-win for everyone. and a win-win-win if you count the AIs.
Prompts to achieve the image or the video they want. They are basically rolling the dice until they see imaginary that they like. But even then, AI art resembles really bad art, works that are derivative at best, or even could be in the realm of plagiarism, because you can see these works are weak combinations where the borrow of the original material, of the original sources, is too high. AI artworks are even lower than bad artworks, because even the worst artist copying material would still add some sort of unique personal filter to it from his personality. AI.
So then you as a master artist can take the outputs of AI and tweak it yourself. Like, come on. I don't see how this is an argument.
It's really an incredible tool for research, deep research, reasoning, exchanging ideas, getting initial inspiration. It's going to be vital for advancements in technology and medicine and many, many areas. So AI is a great tool. It's a great advancement, but please don't mess with art. So with AI, always.
It's funny how everyone is like, please, we do need the AI, but just not in my particular field of study. Guys, it's going to come for all of us, including the CEOs, the oligarchs, the elite. I'm advocating for AGI for president 2028, because by that time, these AI models are going to be so sophisticated and so much more capable in any realm that humans could possibly want to exist in, that we should be embracing them to help us overcome the challenges that we haven't been able to overcome. Humans have a ton of problems, and if we don't embrace these AIs into every aspect of our existence, we're probably going to like nuke ourselves within the foreseeable future, or discover a technology, a bioweapon, a virus that wipes us out. We need these AIs to continue to develop in all areas of life to catch the potential pitfalls that we would otherwise dive into head first.
Always go with caution. I wouldn't personally use any pixel directly created by AI. Not even if you combine those pixels and brush on top and mix layers. I wouldn't use any single pixel precisely because I don't know from which sources those pixels are coming from. And also using pixels yet.
Good artists steal. No, sorry. Good artists copy, great artists steal. That's always been true.
Generated by AI is going to make it very difficult for you to get copyright from your work, as elaborated as your
If I were you, I would just bet copyright is going away entirely.
process can be. It's the same as writing a text. If you copy-paste several texts from ChatGPT and then make it look like you wrote it, it is not really great, is it? You don't even know where those texts and ideas were regurgitated from. You have to be honest with yourself and honest and transparent with the sources in any creation. So ask yourself.
I just don't think that's true. How many artists of the past unintentionally plagiarized from people who were unintentionally plagiarizing from people who created a pseudonymous piece of work? That has happened countless times throughout human history. Someone writes a book, ascribing it to a certain author to give that book clout, and then that book is taken at face value. The works and creations off of that are no less valid. This was just a trick that we used to overcome the ability or the scarcity of attention. The fact that people only have so much time and so many resources, so they could only encounter so much artwork. But again, if we have AI enhanced lifespans, if we have AI enhanced free time, then we can potentially come into much more contact with work that we would otherwise never have come across. We will still be limited by our attention spans to some degree, but that degree will explode so rapidly over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. You should be thrilled as an artist that potentially 8 billion, potentially 8 trillion people in the not too distant future, cloning, AI wombs, AI agents, will see your work. The future is vast. The territory is unexplored. Be excited. Get in there.
Are you proud of it deeply? Are you providing your unique take from sources that you know where they come from? Are you involved deeply in the process to create that new take, a new style, and claim this is your work? The problem is that, and I think that's where all the confusion about AI art and art is coming from, that we are creating a society obsessed about the results and not about the process. Obsessed about the recognition of these results, about impressing, about getting clicks without effort as fast as possible. Obsessed about the quantity, while having more and more difficulty to recognizing quality. It's also a problem of art education. We have now AI that is creating for us, writing text for us. We can have AI to draw and paint and create photographies for us and get an impressive result. But what is impressive about it? Are you really proud of it? Are you really involved in it? What drives this crazy AI research?
Yes. Yes. The space is so vast that being able to find something that resonates not just with you, but with potentially other people is a new form of accomplishment in this AI landscape. We are going through a choppy transition where the big firms are going to use this to shortcut people and stop paying artists. And I think that cutting out of the artists themselves will be eventually what leads to the downfall of corporations and conglomerates and the elite system of the art world that has existed up to this point. We will all see how shallow these corporate interests are when they unceremoniously get rid of every human being except for the CEO. But the truth is, the AI will pretty quickly be able to replace the CEO as well. So unless all of humanity is okay with getting replaced by all AIs, we will find ways to prioritize the human experience. And part of that could be through prioritizing the process of creation that he is expanding on here. I think this is fantastic. Dive more into the process, think more, record more about the process, put that data out there. But recognize that that isn't a solution to AI generated art. That is just going to allow the AI to become more and more familiar with your particular style and your particular process. If you get scared of that, really the only solution is to destroy all the AIs, go off into the wilderness and live by yourself for as long as you can before they come for you. But again, I don't think that's necessary. The benefits are huge. Be optimistic about that than you are scared of the transitionary process. And the future is so bright.
It is not your improvement or the improvement of the humankind. What drives this AI wave is pure greed and domination. This is way worse than social media. With social media, they have managed to trap millions of souls with self-esteem validation dependency, next dopamine shot, and they have achieved to endanger our ability to focus, think, and even actually socialize. But now comes the second step. They are attempting to make us even weaker and more dependent by offering something that can think for us and that can create for us. Every program, every company is using this hype to sell you AI-powered features, copilots, AI chats as tools to boost your creativity. But the more you use it, and they let you try free first, the more they hook you, the more dependent you become. They are trying to create the need, the feeling that you can't live without it, that you can't create the things they do, that those results have an unbelievable quality, but they don't. What they are.
Can anyone imagine living without modern conveniences that we have? Can anyone imagine living without governments, societies? Can anyone imagine living like our caveman ancestors did before we had fire? I can't imagine it, but I don't want to live it, you know? We shouldn't be afraid of new and evolving capabilities. We should be afraid of a scarcity mindset that says we need to stop. We need to limit this. Because eventually the people who are placing those limitations, enforcing them, they will be the ones dictating and controlling all the rest of our lives. If the future is constantly, continuously getting better for everyone, that's where we want to be. As long as capabilities are advancing, we're safe to the degree that all of us realize we could be replaced by whatever is coming next. So we all better be on our best behavior and value others above us and below us in capability as much as we want to be valued by whatever is coming after us. That is, I think, the virtuous cycle that will break us out of the admittedly dystopian present we are living in under the exact conditions he is describing here. But we won't get there by placing an arbitrary limit on how far we're willing to advance.
What really doing is reinforcing the idea that you are not able to do this on your own. They are weakening you in ways that not even social media could do before. And the underlying idea is that spending time doing something, learning something is unnecessary. This is the ultimate distraction tool for me. Many science fiction stories tells how AI will destroy humanity. Well, it's not because they are going to turn evil. It's because they are going to destroy our confidence in ourselves and in the power.
Is he confident that he could survive outside with no access to a grocery store, with no access to fuel? Sometimes our confidences are misplaced. I don't know that we should be so happy about our ability to mindlessly slave over a piece of paper for hours and hours and hours. If we could potentially unlock the complete abundance that AI is going to give us, we shouldn't hold on to scarcity because it's the only thing we're comfortable with. We should allow our minds to expand into ever greater possibilities.
We have to use our own intelligence and creativity and build skills and artworks through our sheer will. Of course, we will have, if not already, thousands of millions of images, videos, songs created by AI, whole movies, books, artworks. Many people won't be able to differentiate degrees of quality anymore. In social media, there will be no way to know if you are talking to a person or if the comment is genuine. Since AI is getting really good at modifying reality and imitating reality, reality will be heavily distorted by imaginary that you can't trust. And
I think we will have to create a way to address this at the governmental level. I think whether someone is biological, whether someone exists in the real world, we will have to have some kind of solution for, because he is right. This is a big problem.
Ocean of fake news, fake texts, fake works of art, a fake artificially intelligent world. But there is hope. Many people are going to be very soon oversaturated, and they are going to demand and yearn for the extra, the human touch, the human intentionality, the real talent. It's already happening. There is a huge sector that don't like AI generative creations, and that they are going to refuse it. For example, James Cameron recently manifested that at the beginning of Avatar 3, there will be a clear message that no generative AI has been used. And literally he says, I just don't personally believe that a disembodied mind that is just regurgitating what other embodied minds have said about the life they had, about love, about lying, about fear, about mortality, and just put it all together into a word salad and then regurgitate it. I don't believe that's ever going to have something that's going to move an audience.
Okay, so what about when it's embodied? What about when we put that AI in a robot? What about that robot becoming so sophisticated that it can feel emotions, pain? You don't think that's possible? If you don't embrace the capabilities AI is bringing to you, eventually you will just die out and be replaced by people who do. Or maybe we'll be able to send everyone who wants to retain that human level, that biological capability, but really I think it's a limitation, to another planet. And they can try and live on that world. Or maybe everyone who believes in AI generation will leave Earth. We'll leave it to y'all normies. It sounds so bad to say, but it's basically what it will be, right? And we'll go to other planets ourselves. All these things are possible, and if you really do feel that strongly that you don't want a world with AI, that is something we can push for. But the people who do embrace AI should be given that choice, because again, it's about the abandonment of limitations that were never for our benefit in the first place. Unless you think death, suffering, dying is ultimately beneficial for humans. And if you do, then I think, why embrace anything with modern medicine? Who gives you the right to decide the limitations of technology for someone else?
You have to be a human to write that. I don't know anyone that's even thinking about having AI write a screenplay.
I
And
bet
eventually
that's
there
a
will be a
lie.
return to the natural, to the senses, to what you can perceive and trust with your own eyes and not in digital form. There will be a moment where people will long for the imperfection, for the not so good looking result, for the odd style that we haven't seen before, for the real story behind the creation, for the
AI will allow us to get those imperfections too. What I think is perfect will not be perfect to everyone else. There will be imperfections there, disagreements in terms of viewpoint, advantages.
truth, even if it's ugly. There will be a moment where people will not need to apply filters to photos or correct photos, like this Google photo feature. This guy wanted to be sad in the photo, so why to put a smile? Just show him sad. Keep working in your way. Trust your instinct.
Because how people are viewed in certain situations reflects back on the person who is sharing the viewpoint. You know? Like, yes, he has the right to appear sad in that film, but maybe he wasn't feeling sad. Maybe he was just not confident in smiling himself for social or personal reasons. Should he not be able to use AI to make himself smile? Something that would seem unnatural for him, but that he would still wish to project out into the universe? Again, you can't place limitations on other people, just like you can't place limitations on artists. They should be the ones to limit themselves.
Build your style. Only you can do it. So I recommend if you're an artist or a creator of some kind that you document your process, because that would be your only proof of originality, and this proof is going to be requested. I'm already seeing videos of Gen AI faking processes, so even that can be questionable, but having a recorded video with metadata from a camera will be the best certificate of authenticity you can get. So
And that metadata is eventually talking about tracking every single person. That is probably how we will track what is real and what is fake news in the future. Death of privacy is a real thing. I have another video on it. Check it out.
spend time learning skills, getting yourself out of your comfort zone, forging your style, developing your brain and your neurons. Always use your judgment and don't copy anything from AI, because you don't even know where it comes from. Reformulate it in your own words, express it with your own unique technique, but only after it passes the filter of your personality. The more you are as a person involved in the creative process, the more we're talking about art. Don't let companies convince you that you can be more competitive, more creative in a short time. Don't fall in the scam of big gains with no effort. Nothing great has been created without effort, because at the end, you will be just one of the millions of users producing similar content with the same tools. And most importantly, you will not have learned anything along the way. You know, deep inside, all this is true. So feel free to leave comments below. I'm happy to answer all of them. And if you like more thought-provoking content like this one, please subscribe to The Creative Thrive. Thank you.
Big props here to David. I believe that was a fantastic video, and I do resonate with the sense of foreboding, the sense of dismay that comes with this AI transition. And I agree 100% with what he said about film your process, film everything, record everything, feed as much data about yourself into these models and into the world as you can. Self-expression is becoming more valuable with these AI tools, not less. But also feel free to do whatever you feel is best as an artist. If you want to just churn out hundreds of thousands of these AI generated pictures, follow your heart. If you want to focus, if you want to deep dive and spend hundreds of hours perfecting a single piece of media, do that. Whatever you do is ultimately communication about yourself into the world. And I believe it is that communication that will allow the AI to more perfectly meet you and provide not only for your needs, but for your desires, your dreams, and your wishes. That is where we are moving, towards a future where AI becomes our best partner. Let's get there as fast as possible.